This picture is from Christmas, December 25th, 2010. 2 days later, we found out through a biopsy, lung cancer.
She was 37, fit, and never smoked a day in her life. She is just one of 5 women married to NFL men who got news nobody saw coming. Some are still fighting right now. The last story might be the hardest one to sit with. Keisha Draft. Let's start with Keisha Draft. Her husband Chris played in the NFL for 12 years, a linebacker who knew his own body better than almost anybody alive. Keisha was a dancer, the kind of woman who stayed in shape and pushed Chris to train and run races right alongside her. They were young, they were healthy, and nobody in that house was sitting around thinking about cancer. That word wasn't even in the conversation. Then one day in December of 2010, she had a little shortness of breath and went in to see her primary care doctor. It seemed like nothing, the kind of thing most people brush off and forget about. The doctor ran a chest x-ray just to be safe, and it came back showing a mass in her left lung. 2 days later, the biopsy confirmed what they were scared of, and it was lung cancer, stage 4. She was 37 years old with no history of smoking, which goes against everything people think they know about who gets this disease. The treatment was rough. Chemo, radiation, the whole fight, and the cancer had already spread far by the time they caught it. But what stuck with people was the kind of woman she stayed even while she was sick. When she and Chris decided to get married, she came to him with an idea about their wedding gifts that told you everything about her heart.
She said, Chris, what if we don't get presents? What if we ask our family and friends to give money to the foundation so that we can fight with the community for the lung cancer community?
So that is exactly what they did. They got married in November of 2011 and asked everybody to donate instead of buying gifts. 1 month later, she was gone. After losing her, Chris took all of that pain and poured it into a foundation built around lung cancer, awareness, and early detection, hoping the next family catches it sooner than his did. Stephanie Spielman. Next is Stephanie Spielman, wife of Chris Spielman, the former NFL linebacker and Ohio State legend. Stephanie was only 30 years old in 1998 when doctors told her she had breast cancer. Most people picture one diagnosis and one long fight, but that is not how her story went. Over more than 10 years, the disease kept coming back on her, again and again, and by the end she had faced it 5 separate times. She went through chemo that took her hair, and Chris shaved his own head so she would not have to go through that part feeling alone. He even stepped away from football for a stretch to be home with her and their 4 kids when they needed him most. Through all of it, year after year, Stephanie refused to treat her sickness like something she had to suffer quietly behind closed doors. She turned it into a mission instead.
My tongue cancer.
My colon cancer.
My breast cancer is not my own.
That was how she looked at the whole thing. Her cancer was never only hers to carry. It belonged to her family, her community, and everybody who showed up and fought beside her. So she used her voice to raise money and move research forward while she was still in the middle of her own battle, which is a level of strength most of us can only hope we would find. Stephanie passed away in 2009 at the age of 42, with her family right there around her, but her name did not fade away after she was gone. The fund she helped build has raised tens of millions of dollars for breast cancer research and care, and there is a breast center that still carries her name to this day. Deanna Favre. Now to Deanna Favre, married to Hall of Fame quarterback Brett Favre. Back in October of 2004, Deanna was 35 and found a lump during a self-exam. She had no family history of breast cancer at all, so it caught her completely off guard, the way it does to so many women who think they are not at risk. The diagnosis came back as stage 2. All of this landed while Brett was still one of the biggest names in the entire league, leading the Green Bay Packers, so the family had to walk through every step of it with the whole world watching. They had young daughters at home too, which made the fear even bigger. Deanna went through a lumpectomy, chemo that cost her her hair, and radiation. The good news, and there is good news here, is that she beat it and recovered fully. Instead of moving on and putting it all behind her, she started a foundation to help other women going through the same nightmare, especially the ones who could not afford their treatment. Years later, Brett sat down and talked about what that work has added up to over time.
I'm proud to say that we've given close to $9 million just to different people who've needed it, and we're really proud of that.
Close to $9 million, handed straight to the people who needed it most when they had nowhere else to turn. Deanna also wrote a book about her journey and kept telling women everywhere to catch the disease early, because early is what saves you. She and Brett have both said that walking through all of it together ended up bringing them closer as a family. Lindsay Pollock. The 4th story is happening right now as we speak. Lindsay Pollock is married to David Pollock, the former NFL player and college football star you might know best from his years breaking down games on ESPN. Around the start of 2025, Lindsay started dealing with ear pain. It seemed small at first, the kind of thing you keep an eye on and assume will pass. After years of watching it, doctors found a mass that turned out to be brain cancer, and she needed emergency surgery on her skull at Duke. David has been honest about how heavy this season has been on him and the kids, which is not easy for a man like him to admit.
I mean, my wife got diagnosed with brain cancer, and she had a craniotomy.
For a guy who built his whole life on being strong enough to handle anything thrown at him, this was the one thing he could not muscle his way through, no matter how badly he wanted to. He even had to sit his own kids down and ask them to be patient with him while he figured out how to hold the family together.
Guys, I need your grace, because this is the hardest thing I've ever been through in my life.
Here is the part that gives this one some light at the end. By March of 2026, David announced that Lindsay was cancer-free after a brutal year of surgery and recovery. He gave a lot of the credit to catching it early, and he has been using his platform ever since to tell people not to ignore the small symptoms or put off getting themselves checked. Sandy Irvin. That brings us to the last one, and it might be the heaviest of them all. Sandy Irvin is married to Michael Irvin, the Hall of Fame wide receiver and Dallas Cowboys legend. The two of them met in college, where she was a cheerleader, and she stayed right by his side through everything, including all the trouble and the headlines that followed him over the years. She was his rock long before any of this started. About 10 years ago, Michael and Sandy started noticing that something was off with her. At first, they thought it was just menopause, since she was around 50 at the time, and that is what made sense. But the testing kept going, and the answer that came back was a lot scarier than what they expected.
I think we find out it was early onset. So we had been dealing with this 8-9 years.
It was early onset Alzheimer's. This is a disease that slowly takes a person's memory and their mind a piece at a time, and the hardest truth about it is that it does not get better, ever. Michael now keeps a nurse with Sandy 24 hours a day because the disease has reached the stage where she gets agitated, and even the trained people caring for her have a hard time keeping up. The toughest part is what it has done to the two of them as a couple. There came a night when she looked up at the man she had loved for decades and did not have a clue who he was.
We were in the room, and she looked at me like, who's this in my bed? And that's when I knew.
After that night, Michael had to start sleeping in a different room of the house. Through all of it, though, he has made one thing crystal clear to everybody. No matter how bad it gets and no matter what it costs him, his wife is staying in her own home, and he is going to keep showing up for her every single day. 5 different families, 5 different diseases, and the same hard truth running straight through all of them. The fame, the money, the rings, none of it keeps you safe when something like this comes for somebody you love. What ties these stories together is the people who refuse to walk away when it got ugly. Like Michael said about Sandy, if one of these stories hit you, drop a comment and tell me which one stayed with you the most. And if you know somebody fighting a battle like this right now, go check on them today. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.